You can support me by turning on notifications, subscribing to my channel, and liking the video. Waiting for your comments. The Bermuda Triangle. Disappearing planes and ships. The Bermuda Triangle, often called the Devil's Triangle, has long captured the public imagination with tales of lost ships, planes vanishing without a trace, and unexplained disappearances that have sparked countless theories. Located in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean, the region is typically defined by an imaginary triangle connecting the southern tip of Florida, the island of Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, though its exact boundaries can vary depending on different sources. Over the decades, numerous baffling incidents have been reported in this area, leading many to wonder whether supernatural forces, advanced extraterrestrial activities, unknown atmospheric phenomena, or even hidden undersea civilizations could be at work. Scientists, government agencies, and skeptics, however, often point to more conventional explanations like severe weather, navigational errors, and oceanic conditions that can make traveling through these waters perilous. Despite efforts to debunk the myth, the Bermuda Triangle remains deeply entrenched in popular culture, with every new disappearance fanning the flames of intrigue about what might really be happening in that stretch of ocean. Historical records show that unusual vanishings in this segment of the Atlantic have been noted for centuries. Some point to the voyages of Christopher Columbus, who allegedly wrote about strange compass variations and eerie lights in the sky while sailing near the area. It wasn't until the 20th century, however, that the concept of the Bermuda Triangle as a uniquely dangerous zone began to take shape. Magazine articles in the early 1950s and 1960s mentioned mysterious ship losses, unexplained plane crashes, and baffling accounts from survivors who claimed that their compasses spun wildly or that sudden storms erupted out of nowhere. Many of these stories were anecdotal, but collectively they helped forge the triangle's ominous reputation. The phenomenon burst into public consciousness, in large part due to Charles Berlitz's 1974 best-selling book, The Bermuda Triangle, which compiled numerous stories of craft allegedly vanishing into thin air. Berlitz's sensational portrayal, combined with newspaper headlines about planes going off radar, propelled the region into global legend. Among the most famous cases that fueled these legends is the disappearance of Flight 19. On December 5, 1945, a squadron of 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers took off from the U.S. Naval Air Station in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for a routine training exercise. Weather conditions seemed initially calm, the flight plan straightforward. Yet soon, radio operators received disconcerting messages from the pilots stating that their compasses were malfunctioning and that they had become disoriented. One pilot's transmission described the ocean looking strange and that they couldn't recognize landmarks. In a flurry of confusing radio communications, Flight 19 drifted further off course until all contact was lost. The Navy scrambled a search and rescue mission, sending out a PBM Mariner flying boat carrying a crew of 13. This rescue aircraft also vanished, and though no conclusive evidence was found of what happened, an oil slick was reported in the general search area. Many attributed the entire chain of events to navigational error plus unfortunate weather changes, but believers in the Triangle's enigmas seized upon Flight 19 as a prime example of how planes could seemingly vanish without a trace in that region. Another iconic tale is that of the USS Cyclops, a massive U.S. Navy collier that disappeared in March 1918 while traveling from Brazil to Baltimore with over 300 people on board. The ship's last known message indicated no trouble, but it never arrived at its destination. Despite one of the largest naval search efforts in U.S. history up to that time, no wreckage or survivors were ever found. The loss of the USS Cyclops remains one of the Navy's most baffling mysteries, contributing to the legend that some malevolent force in the Atlantic claimed it. Critics argue that the ship was likely overloaded with manganese ore and may have encountered a catastrophic structural failure during rough seas. But the absence of definitive proof has kept the Bermuda Triangle myth alive. Although not all alleged Bermuda Triangle stories are truly located in that area or even well documented, each new rumor resonates with a sense of forbidding lore. Ships reporting compasses spinning erratically or disappearing from radar, small private planes losing radio contact with no mayday call, and boaters who claim to have encountered strange clouds, waterspouts, or freak waves all feed the notion that the region defies normal explanation. Meteorologists, however, point out that the area is prone to sudden thunderstorms, hurricanes, waterspouts, and powerful ocean currents like the Gulf Stream, any of which can lead to severe navigational hazards. Furthermore, the region is one of the most heavily traveled shipping lanes in the world, which naturally increases the statistical likelihood of accidents. Over the years, scientists, maritime experts, and government entities have tried to provide rational explanations for the Bermuda Triangle's seemingly high number of missing craft. They note that official insurance records do not show any greater frequency of disappearances here than in comparable oceanic regions. The U.S. Coast Guard has repeatedly stated that the Triangle is no more hazardous than other parts of the Atlantic, and that the majority of these so-called mysteries can be traced to human error, changing weather, or mechanical failure. Nonetheless, certain events remain unexplained, at least in the sense that no wreckage or survivors were ever recovered, leaving open the possibility of more outlandish theories. One branch of speculation involves geological and oceanographic factors. Some individuals propose that large deposits of methane hydrates might be embedded under the seabed. In theory, if a sudden release of methane bubbles rose to the surface, the density of the water could change dramatically, causing ships to lose buoyancy and sink with almost no warning or trace. While laboratory experiments have shown that large volumes of rising gas can affect buoyancy, conclusive real-world evidence of this phenomenon sinking vessels in the Triangle is lacking. Even so, this methane hydrate theory has become a popular, scientific-sounding explanation for what might otherwise be labeled a supernatural event. Others posit that unusual electromagnetic anomalies could cause compasses to fail, throwing pilots off course and leading to eventual crashes or water landings. Indeed, the Bermuda region can show slight magnetic variations, but specialists in geophysics insist that these variations are neither large enough nor consistent enough to cause widespread navigational failure. Historically, mariners have known about the difference between true north and magnetic north, adjusting calculations accordingly. Yet, the slightest miscalculation or confusion in an era before advanced GPS could certainly lead to a catastrophic heading error. Beyond natural explanations, the Bermuda Triangle has long been a playground for more radical or paranormal ideas. Some point to UFOs or alien abductions, claiming that advanced beings use the Triangle as a gateway to conduct secret experiments or capture unsuspecting vessels. Others weave in the legend of the lost city of Atlantis, asserting that the remains of this ancient civilization rest on the ocean floor, perhaps radiating powerful energy crystals that disrupt modern technology. Books and documentaries in the 1970s frequently offered such claims, reinforcing the Triangle's association with the mystical. Over time, these tropes have blended with pop culture references, fueling an ongoing fascination that persists even as mainstream science remains unconvinced. The Mary Celeste, sometimes incorrectly associated with the Bermuda Triangle, is another story that adds flavor to the overall myth. Though the Mary Celeste was actually discovered adrift in the Atlantic far from the Triangle's usual boundaries, it's often lumped into the same conversation about ghost ships. Found in 1872 with its cargo intact and no crew on board, The Mary Celeste is an enduring maritime puzzle, but does not neatly fit into the triangle's geography. Still, its spooky circumstances and unexplained abandonment get folded into the broader narrative, heightening the mystique. Tourism and media coverage also play a role in perpetuating the triangle's infamy. Tour operators in Florida and the Caribbean sometimes offer Bermuda Triangle cruises or boat tours, capitalizing on the allure of the unknown. Documentaries, television specials, and sensational articles highlight each unexplained incident, occasionally neglecting to mention that many of these mysteries have prosaic solutions. Even when plausible answers exist, for instance, a missing boat was later found wrecked after a hurricane, some references continue to list it as part of the Bermuda Triangle's unsolved file. This creates an echo chamber of suspicion and wonder. The Triangle, in effect, has become a brand, drawing in people who want to believe in hidden dimensions or conspiratorial plots. Skeptics argue that the majority of so-called mysterious vanishings have been grossly exaggerated or fabricated for dramatic effect. Ships sink around the world every year due to bad weather, poor navigation, mechanical faults, or storms. Planes crash for countless reasons, from engine failure to pilot error or encountering unexpected turbulence. Because the Bermuda Triangle is so heavily trafficked, sheer probability suggests that accidents will happen there. Aviation historians can list numerous accidents in other regions of the planet that garner less attention. Yet, the idea that the Triangle is curse-haunted or under the sway of a supernatural vortex is far more compelling as a story. As a result, whenever an event occurs that vaguely matches the pattern of ship or plane lost in the Atlantic, it's swiftly appended to the Bermuda Triangle mythos, even if the location is nowhere near the official boundaries. Meanwhile, large-scale investigations, like those carried out by the Coast Guard or National Transportation Safety Board, frequently release detailed reports pointing to mundane causes. Even so, some events remain open to speculation simply because no definitive trace was found, prompting rumors about government cover-ups or underwater anomalies that remain undocumented. The enigma has even found its way into scientific research into rogue waves, towering walls of water once considered mythical by many mariners. Studies confirm that rogue waves can suddenly surge to heights exceeding 30 meters and can snap or sink large vessels if struck at the wrong angle. In the North Atlantic, such waves might be triggered by strong currents, storm fronts, or intersecting wave patterns. This line of inquiry proposes that perhaps some of the vanished ships were felled by freak waves that left little floating debris. Yet again, while plausible scientifically, these real phenomena don't hold the same spellbinding allure as stories about dimensional portals or alien abductions. Ultimately, the Bermuda Triangle endures because it embodies the tension between our thirst for rational explanations and our fascination with the unexplained. Investigators, journalists, and storytellers have, for decades, rummaged through the logs of ill-fated voyages and incomplete flight plans, searching for patterns that might confirm a grand design or cosmic wrongdoing. The region's variable and often volatile weather conditions, combined with the complexity of maritime and aviation travel, produce enough accidents to sustain the legend. And the additional swirl of conspiracy theories, pseudo-scientific speculation, and occasional hoaxes ensures that the Devil's Triangle remains a staple of both the curious traveler's itinerary and the late-night TV documentary roster. For every official statement that dismisses the Triangle as a normal ocean corridor, there's a new rumor about a recently lost sailboat or the faint last words of a pilot claiming his instruments spun out of control. In the end, the Bermuda Triangle straddles the boundary between the known and the unknowable. While experts largely attribute the incidents to natural forces, mechanical failures, and human fallibility, the absence of absolute proof in certain cases fuels whispers of otherworldly influences. Each missing ship or plane, each incomplete distress call, stokes the timeless urge to believe that perhaps we haven't unraveled all the secrets of the sea. And so, the legend sails on, perched at the intersection of rational science and the beckoning vastness of the ocean, a place where fact mingles with fiction, sparking both caution and wonder in all who dare to cross its fabled waters.